The first time I saw the sky tear open, I thought I was dying. It was late evening in the Nevada desert, and the observatory had long since closed to tourists. I was alone in the control room, surrounded by the quiet hum of cooling fans and the soft blinking of status lights. My life had narrowed to signals and noise, to the slow dance of distant galaxies on a screen. It was safer that way, measuring light years instead of confronting the wreckage of my own past. Then the sky split. Not metaphorically, not in a poetic sense. It parted like fabric under invisible hands. The security cameras picked it up first. A distortion, high above the horizon, an iridescent seam stretching across the darkness. I stared at the monitor as stars bent around it. My mind tried to rationalize it. Atmospheric anomaly, military experiment, hallucination. Then something descended. A structure of impossible geometry, neither ship nor creature. It shimmered like molten glass and refracted the starlight into cascading prisms. It didn't roar. It didn't burn. It simply was, imposing its existence onto our world with serene confidence. My heart hammered against my ribs. Within minutes, every communication line in the facility was alive. Satellite feeds, military chatter, emergency broadcasts. The world had noticed. And then every screen in the observatory went black. A single symbol appeared, an intricate sigil composed of interlocking spirals. Beneath it, English text formed as if being written in real time. We seek the human called Adrian Velez. My breath caught. I was the only Adrian Velez registered at this facility. A low-level astrophysicist with no clearance beyond data analysis. No political influence. No special bloodline. Just a man who watched the stars and wondered if anyone watched back. The speakers crackled. Adrian Velez, a voice said, smooth and resonant, layered as though multiple tones harmonized within it. You are summoned. I should have run. Instead, I stepped outside. The desert wind whipped around me as the structure lowered, silent and luminous. A beam of pale blue light extended from its underside, bathing the sand in a soft glow. My body tingled as though static electricity crawled across my skin. Then the world dissolved. 2. The throne of glass and starlight. When sensation returned, I stood within a chamber vast enough to swallow skyscrapers. The walls were translucent, revealing a swirling ocean of stars beyond. Not a view screen, not a projection. We were somewhere else entirely. I felt it in the subtle difference of gravity, in the way my inner ear struggled to orient itself. At the center of the chamber rose a throne sculpted from a material that resembled crystal but pulsed faintly with inner light. And upon it sat a being unlike anything my species had imagined. She was tall, nearly 7 feet even-seated. Her skin shimmered like polished opal, shifting hues with each movement. Silver-white hair cascaded down her shoulders in weightless strands, as though gravity only partially applied to her. Her eyes held entire nebulae within them. She wore a crown of delicate arcs and luminous filaments, hovering just above her brow. The air itself seemed to bow around her. Adrian Velez, she said, her voice resonating directly inside my mind as much as through the air. You stand before Lyra, sovereign of the Celestine Dominion. I swallowed. Am I dead? A faint curve touched her lips. No, human. You are most vividly alive. I struggled to form coherent thoughts. Why me? A ripple moved through the chamber walls, like a silent echo of her contemplation. You are chosen, she said, because your mind is unshielded by arrogance, because your species is young enough to hope, and because the genetic resonance we require aligns uniquely within you. Genetic resonance? She rose from the throne. The movement was fluid, almost liquid. The chamber seemed to brighten in response. "My people are dying," she said. The words were simple. The weight behind them was not. "For millennia," she continued, "we have mastered matter, energy, and the curvature of space-time. We have seeded stars and shepherded civilizations. But evolution does not pause for power. A flaw, subtle and irreversible, has emerged within our lineage." She stepped closer. I felt heat radiating from her, though it did not burn. "We can no longer reproduce." The enormity of it hit me slowly. An empire among the stars, facing extinction. "You want technology from us?" I asked weakly. "A partnership? Research?" Her gaze softened, almost pitying. "No. We want you." My mouth went dry. She lifted her chin, meeting my eyes with unwavering intensity. "I would be honored to carry your child, human." The chamber fell silent. For a moment I did not understand the words. Then I did. My heart skipped. Then it slammed against my ribs so violently I thought it might break free. "You can't be serious," I whispered. "I do not jest about the survival of my species." "You're an alien queen," I said, my voice cracking. "You rule whatever all this is. And you're asking me to father an heir," she finished calmly. "One who will unite our genetics and restore vitality to the Celestine line." The room tilted. I staggered, and darkness crowded my vision. The last thing I saw before collapsing was her expression shifting, not to fear, but to something disturbingly close to concern. 3. Between life and oblivion. When I awoke, I was lying on a platform of warm, luminous material. Soft currents of energy flowed through my body, easing the lingering ache in my chest. "You experienced cardiac distress," Heir said, standing nearby. "Your physiology reacted to emotional overload." "You nearly killed me," I muttered. "I stabilized you within seconds." I sat up slowly. "You don't just drop a sentence like that on someone. In my culture, clarity is considered respectful." I laughed despite myself. It came out shaky. "Let me get this straight," I said. "Your empire spans galaxies. You have technology that makes ours look like cave paintings. And your solution to extinction is me. Our genetic models indicate compatibility at a 99.8% success rate. Among 8 billion humans, you are uniquely viable. Why? Your lineage carries rare mitochondrial variations. Combined with our own adaptive matrices, they will correct the degeneration within our genome." I rubbed my temples. "And what happens to Earth?" "Your world remains untouched. We seek no conquest. And if I refuse?" Her gaze did not waver. "Then my species will fade within 3 generations." The weight of it pressed down on me. "You're asking me to decide the fate of an entire civilization." "I am asking you to offer hope," she said quietly. Silence stretched between us. "Why carry the child yourself?" I asked finally. "Why not?" "I don't know. Artificial gestation." "Because the heir must be recognized as sovereign from conception," she replied. "Our people follow blood and presence. If I carry the child, there is no dispute. A queen willing to bear the burden herself. That unsettled me more than anything." "I need time," I said. "You have it," she answered. "For a world beyond comprehension." They did not confine me. Instead, they showed me their civilization. The Celestine Dominion was not a cluster of cold metal ships and sterile corridors. It was alive with color and fluid architecture. Cities floated within nebulae. Bridges of light connected orbital habitats. Vast living structures pulsed with bioluminescence. Their people were variations of Heir's form, tall, luminous, graceful. They regarded me with curiosity, not hostility. I learned that they did not wage war as humans did. Conflicts were resolved through complex negotiations of energy and territory. They had transcended scarcity long ago. And yet, extinction loomed. In a chamber overlooking a newborn star, Elira joined me. "You have seen what we are," she said. "I have," I admitted. "You're not monsters." Her lips curved faintly. "We are relieved to hear it." "I still don't understand something," I said. "You could have taken genetic samples without asking." "Yes," she agreed. "Why didn't you?" She stepped beside me, gazing into the swirling fire of the forming star. "Because consent carries power," she said. "An heir born of coercion would fracture our society. We require unity." The sincerity in her voice disarmed me. "What would this child be?" I asked. "Both," she said. "Human and Celestine. A bridge." "And me?" I pressed. "What happens to me?" "You would be honored as progenitor. You may remain here or return to Earth. The choice would be yours." I thought of my lonely apartment, my routine of coffee and data charts, the quiet ache of a life half-lived. Then I looked at her, at the strength and vulnerability interwoven in her posture. "Why do you trust me?" I asked. "Because you fear the weight of this decision," she replied. "Power without fear is dangerous. You possess fear and compassion." Her eyes held mine, and for the first time, I saw not a queen, but a woman carrying the survival of her people on her shoulders. My heart, traitorous and fragile, shifted within my chest. The promise. The ceremony was unlike any human ritual. We stood within a sphere of living light, surrounded by thousands of Celestines. Energy flowed in harmonic waves, resonating through my bones. Elira wore a mantle of radiant threads that drifted like auroras. When she reached for my hand, her touch was warm and steady. "Adrian Velez," she said, her voice amplified across the chamber. "Do you offer your genetic legacy freely, in hope and unity?" My throat tightened. "I do," I answered. "And I," she declared, turning to her people, "shall carry this child within my own body as testament to our faith in renewal." A surge of light enveloped us. The process itself was beyond anything I could describe in scientific terms. It was not crude or invasive. It was an exchange of luminous strands, weaving together at a cellular level. I felt a profound connection, an intertwining of essence. And when it was done, Elira's hand remained in mine. "It has begun," she whispered. A tremor ran through me. Not fear this time, but awe. 6. Shadows within the throne. Hope, however, breeds opposition. Not all within the Dominion welcomed the idea of a hybrid heir. 3 cycles after the conception ritual, an explosion rocked the gestation wing of the palace. I was thrown against a wall, alarms blaring in frequencies that pierced my skull. Elira stood at the center of the chaos, shielding her abdomen with a shimmering barrier of energy. Guards, if that word applied to beings of living light, engaged intruders who moved like fractures in reality. Later, I learned they were purists, Celestines who believed their species should end in purity rather than dilute its lineage. "Are you hurt?" I demanded, rushing to her side once the attackers were subdued. "I am unharmed," she said, though her aura flickered faintly. "And the child?" She closed her eyes briefly. Strong. Rage ignited within me. "They tried to kill you. They fear change," she said calmly. "They try to kill our child." I corrected. The words hung between us. Our child. Something shifted in her expression, something softer, deeper. "Yes," she said quietly. "They did." Security tightened. Surveillance increased. I insisted on staying near her at all times. You are not a soldier, she reminded me. I'm a father, I replied. The realization struck us both. 7. The moment my heart failed me. The final attack came, without warning. A fleet of rogue vessels breached the Dominion's outer defenses. Shockwaves rippled through the capital structure. Evacuation protocols activated, but Elira refused to leave the central command sphere. My people must see their queen, she said. Energy blasts shattered sections of the translucent walls, exposing the cold brilliance of space. I stayed at her side as the chamber trembled. A purist leader emerged through a rupture in reality, a towering figure with eyes like collapsing stars. This abomination ends now, he declared. He unleashed a focused beam of destabilizing energy aimed directly at Elira's abdomen. I didn't think. I moved. The impact hit me like the force of a supernova. Agony tore through my chest. My vision exploded into white. I heard Elira scream my name, heard it echo across the chamber and inside my mind. Then everything went silent. 8. Beyond the edge. There was no tunnel of light, no pulley gates, only a vast, quiet darkness. I floated within it, detached from pain. Then warmth enveloped me. Adrian. Her voice. I opened eyes I no longer possessed and saw Elira kneeling beside my broken body. Energy poured from her hands into my chest. You will not leave me, she whispered fiercely. You will not leave our child. I wanted to tell her it was okay, that I had chosen this. But my heart, my fragile, human heart, had failed. She did something then that defied every law of her people. She opened herself fully, mind, essence, life force, and bound it to mine. Agony returned in a tidal wave. My lungs convulsed. Air slammed into me as my heart jolted back into rhythm. I gasped, eyes flying open to a chamber filled with stunned Celestines. Elira collapsed against me, weakened but alive. The child, I croaked. She guided my hand to her abdomen. A steady pulse of energy met my palm. Alive, she breathed. Tears blurred my vision. My heart, traitorous organ that it was, beat on. 9. A new dawn. The purest rebellion crumbled after that. Their leader was captured, his rhetoric exposed as fear masquerading as principle. Months passed. Elira's pregnancy progressed in luminous stages. I remained by her side, learning the rhythms of Celestine medicine and culture. When the time came, the entire Dominion gathered. The birth was not of blood and pain as humans know it, but of light and resonance. A surge of brilliance filled the chamber, and in Elira's arms lay a child unlike any being in existence. Small by Celestine standards, skin shimmering with both opalescent light and warm human tones, eyes that held galaxies and curiosity. He is called Selim, Elira announced softly. I reached out, trembling, and the child grasped my finger with surprising strength. In that moment, the enormity of what we had done settled over me. Not conquest, not domination. Creation, a bridge between worlds. Elira met my gaze, her expression filled with something that no translation device could capture. You gave us more than survival, she said. You gave us a future. I leaned my forehead against hers, careful of the crown hovering above. You nearly gave me a heart attack, I murmured. A soft laugh escaped her. And yet, she said, it still beats. Yes, it did. For her, for our son, for a universe suddenly far less lonely than it had been the night the sky first tore open above the desert. And as I held my child beneath a ceiling of newborn stars, I understood that my life had never truly begun until the moment it had almost ended. My heart had failed me once, But in failing, it had chosen something greater than fear. It had chosen hope.